Hello, Helen here. Thanks for joining me on my channel today. Just recently I've bought a couple of stencils and a new stamp, one of the Altenew new stamps. This one's called Wallpaper Art. It's a really big flower, so it should fill a card quite nicely and be able to be used quite simply. So I'm going to start by doing the stencil. I'll start by sticking down a piece of card that's just slightly bigger than my card base down onto a board with painter's tape, and then I'll stick the stencil down on top of that so everything's nice and firm. Now today I'm going to be giving a makeup brush a go. I've seen these brushes online that people have been using, and they look a lot like these makeup brushes that are now available, so I thought I'd just buy one of those rather than buy these more expensive blending tools, and give those a go and just see whether they work any better than a mini blending tool that I normally use. So I'm going to use 3 colours of Tim Holtz Distress Ink. So I'm using Spun Sugar, Tumbled Glass and Squeeze Lemonade, and I'm just going to start from the middle and work my way out with the Distress Inks, starting with pink and then blending yellow over that and going back with a little bit of the pink, and then doing the Tumbled Glass and again going back over with the Squeeze Lemonade just to blend them nicely. The brush seems to work really nicely. It is getting right down into the grooves of the stencil, which is great. Again, you still have to build up the colour bit by bit. You don't get a great deal of ink on the brush, so you do need to just build it up. But one good thing is that I got this piece of kitchen towel to wipe the brush off, but there actually isn't anything really left on the brush, so you don't really have to clean it between doing the colours, which is great, because with the blending tools, the sponges, you've got to have a sponge for each colour because they don't mix very well, so that's definitely an advantage. And that's the stencil area done. Because my card fronts are a bit bigger than the stencil, I'm going to just do some blending of just some plain blue at the bottom and try and blend it into where the stencil is, just so it's not such a distinct line. And hopefully that's going to work. I'll probably be putting the sentiment down there anyway, so that'll disguise the join a little bit. So I'm going to go back to using the mini blender for that because the brush is going to take too long to do the layering. You just don't get enough ink on it. So now it could well be that I need to get some re-inkers for the ink pads so that I do get a bit more ink on them. They're getting a little bit dry. So I start off using the brush, but I'll go back to the mini blending tool and blend around the stencil area and further down on the card, and then I'll be able to trim that down to the card base size once I finish that. I'll now stamp the flowers and leaves that I need. I think I'll just do 2 flowers and the 1 leaf because the stamps are so big. I think that's all I'll require. So I'm going to stamp that with the Misty on a scrap piece of card, and I'm going to stamp it with Versamark sticky ink and then emboss it with gold embossing powder and heat it with a heat tool, and then I can go about colouring them in. To colour the flowers, I'm going to use my Zig Clean Colour Real Brush markers to do the colouring. In the description below the video I'll have a link to my blog, and I have all the supplies that I've used for this card in my blog, so I'll have all the numbers of the zigs that I've used there if you're interested in. Do let me know in the comment section if you prefer to see a bit more of the colouring when I'm doing a card, but it just makes the video really long, so I've concentrated on the stenciling this time rather than the colouring of the flowers. But do put a comment in the comment section if you would prefer it another way. So once I finished colouring the flowers and the leaf, I fussy cut them out, and I've also started my sentiment. I'm going to use the Simon Says stamp, Wishing and Sending stamp set, and I'm going to do the word sending. I've got the dies that go with this, so I'm going to do sending in a blue to match the bottom of the card, and so I'm just going to stamp the secondary sentiment stamp on a scrap piece of, or the same scrap piece of paper, and then cut that out and do banners on each end, and that'll be my sentiments sorted. I decided while I was stamping the sentiment I might as well use one of the hearts that's also in the set, and I put a heart either end of that sentiment. I just thought it would look really cute. I then decided to add just a little bit extra by using a sparkle jelly roll pen just to colour in the hearts. It just gives a little bit of silver glitter. The next thing to do is to trim down the stencil panel that I've made, so I'm just going to do that by attaching the trim top edge to my card base by just peeling off the top strip of the double-sided tape and stick that down, trying to centre it as evenly as I can, and then I'll take the tape backing off of all the rest of the card base and stick it down, and then I'll just flip the card over and trim right the way around where I've got surplus, and then that's that done. And then I've just got to sort out the arrangement of where I'm going to put my flowers, and I'll stick them down with Scotch foam tape, a little bit of glue, and then decide where I'm going to put the sentiment. Looking at how the flowers look on the stencil background, I think I probably should have made the flowers a little bit darker in colour. I think they would have popped better. They look a little bit lost on the stencil background, but you live and learn. So that's the card finished today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll leave you looking at some photos, some close-ups of the card, and at the end I'll have a couple of videos you might be interested in watching. But thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.